Philadelphia baseball fans are demanding something very serious that they, as adults, care about. In a beautiful unintentional glitch of sports broadcasting, when the Philadelphia Phillies play their cross-state rival, the Pittsburgh Pirates, and it's still 0-0, the TV score graphic reads poop, or P00P. The team names, each starting with P, bookending the two zeros. You get it. And that's why every Phillies-Pirates matchup is dubbed the poop game or poop series. But alas, this week, 2025 spring training kicked off, and fans immediately noticed that NBC Sports Philadelphia had changed the layout of that graphic, called a scorebug in TV lingo, so that the Phillies acronym is now PHI, not just P, meaning the poop game is no more. John McCann is a Phillies superfan known as the Philly Captain. We reached him in Philadelphia.
John, is losing the scorebug as it was really such a big deal?
Not, for the memes. It's a very big memeable moment. But I don't think it's the end all be all of baseball. But we will lose our 6 chuckles every season when we play the Pittsburgh Pirates. And
obviously, there's a rivalry there. How much does that rivalry play into the popularity of the scorebug?
Oh, look, the good thing is the Pittsburgh Pirates are a pretty horrible organization. So usually we use the reference as a way to talk about Pittsburgh, that team, that organization. And also sometimes the Phillies play like that. And when the Phillies are playing bad, we'll blast our guys too.
How are other fans reacting?
It is all over Phillies Twitter, and everybody's talking about it, and it makes me feel like there's not enough news going on in the world, because if this is a news story, it's a very viral thing, especially in Philadelphia, and I think Pittsburgh plays along with it too. It just, every time we play Pittsburgh, I can't tell you how many days. It goes on for weeks, even after the series. Some people think they're very clever and they're the first one to notice this trend. But it's the end of an era, I would say.
Yeah, fans are passionate, obviously, and trash talk is certainly you're at the ready with it at all times. So what are people going to do now? What I will do is make fun of Pittsburgh for having a cheap owner and for having a team that barely makes the never makes the playoffs that often. I can't remember the last time they won the World Series, and the fact that I'm saying this across the great nation of Canada brings me so much joy. It's so much better than a meme on Twitter is talking trash about Pittsburgh. Why do you hate them so much?
They talk funny. They don't talk. They're not as sophisticated as us in Philadelphia. I know. I'll tell you the truth about Pittsburgh. People say their stadium is the best stadium in Major League Baseball, and I went there a few years ago, and it's small. Not all the seats have cup holders. The food is average at best. And the one thing I'm offended is I think the best stadium is in Philadelphia, Citizens Bank Park, home of the Philadelphia Phillies.
That's surprising to hear from you, John.
But I think the best breads in Philadelphia. We have the best tap water. There's a lot of things I love about this city, I just live and breathe Philadelphia. So it's fun to trash Pittsburgh.
The Phillies the Phillies were supposed to play the Pirates yesterday. It would have been the first poop game of the season, preseason rather. It got rained out. What do you think? Is there a curse now? The scorebug curse?
I was going to say poop happens. And actually yesterday poop didn't happen. You know what's funny? I noticed last month I was at the Philly Stadium, and they have PHI on some of the new merchandise for this season. And I think Major League Baseball, instead of going with that logo, those 3 letters are going to be like a way of branding the team across the nation. So every team is going to have logos with those 3 letters. So not only do we lose the poop game, we're also going to lose money because we have to buy the new Phillies merchandise.
But you're going to do it anyway, and they know you're going to do it.
Yeah, I mean, I have a Philly fanatic tattooed on my leg. I love the Phillies. They're my favorite team, and pretty much I'm a sucker, and they'll put out anything and I buy it.
We did reach out to NBC Sports Philadelphia for a comment on this change. We haven't heard back yet. Do you think this is all about the branding and new merchandise, or do you think there's something else at play?
I do think it's part of that. I also, why wouldn't they? You see, the thing is, they're losing all those tweets and those memes, and every time we play Pittsburgh, the NBC Sports logo goes around the world for days. So I do social media for a living. I think it's a big mistake on their part. But like I said, Major League Baseball making money off the branding, I think that's a big part of why they're doing that.
You were on our show, listeners may remember, in 2023. Phillies shortstop Trey Turner was struggling at the time. He was getting booed. You used your influence with the fans of the team to turn those boos around, turn them into cheers, and then he turned his season around. You've got an update to share with our listeners as well, right?
Yeah, the movie. There was actually a movie made about the Trey Turner standing ovation, and you can watch it on Netflix. It's called The Turnaround, and it was produced by Barack and Michelle Obama. It's a 25-minute movie. Nobody's that busy. They can all watch it.
So what you're saying is Barack and Michelle are like devoted listeners of As It Happens.
Barack, me and Barack, I was talking to him back in October for about 30 seconds, and the whole conversation was about the CBC and how much we love Canadian broadcasting.
Send us a recording when you can, John.
I'll work on that. I'll work on that. But I got to meet the President of the United States because of a good deed, and so I think everybody should try to do a good deed every so often. You don't know what will happen.
John, I'm glad we could speak. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. Go Phils.